Good evening, good evening. Here we are again, back at the couch. It's like you're here in my living room. I think a lot about how isolated we are nowadays. Even when I was little, I asked Mom one time, Mom, why don't we go visit people? And without missing a beat, she said, Zach, people work. It's true. But I still think we need to visit people. And this is not quite a substitute for that, but maybe you turn on this little video of me talking and you've got a voice in the house that you don't normally hear, and it might brighten your day a little bit. If you would like to visit, I love visitors. So you just let me know, and I will happily host you here on my real couch. Tonight is all about real estate. I got things going on in real estate lately. First, a few weeks ago, you may have seen a post that I put on social media saying that I was made a partner. First, you should know that there are all kinds of different ways to do real estate. And when I say that I work with a particular firm, you should know that that does not mean I work for that firm. And so the firm that I have joined with is called Real Broker, LLC. Real Broker is a cloud-based firm that is all across America. It is rapidly growing. If you look them up and look up some news stories, you'll see that there's all kinds of stuff happening with that company. Good things. But then below that, you have the team level, and some people don't even work on a team. They just work with the firm. But I also joined a team, and the team is also cloud-based. So here in Greensboro, I have several other people who work with Premier Group, the name of the team, and I can connect with them if I need help on something, if I have a question, if I need support. And I then have two levels of camaraderie and support. And at the Real Broker level, I have to confess I haven't really connected with many people. But at the Premier Group level, the team level here, I've got some really good connections. I really appreciate the folks I work with. And so when I say a few weeks ago that I made partner, that was at the team level. And with Premier Group, you are either an associate, a partner, or a senior partner. And in order to be a partner, you have to have sold a certain number of, or rather closed a certain number of transactions. And that comes with a variety of benefits. And it sounds good. It sounds good to say I'm a partner instead of an associate. So thanks to those of you who congratulated me or reached out in some way. That is a milestone for me in real estate, especially here in my first year. Other news in real estate, I'm working only with buyers nowadays. That is not a bad thing. I'm happy to take sellers or buyers, but right now I have only buyers. I shared that with a former professor the other night on the phone, and she said, I don't have any idea what those words mean. And I thought, that's true. It's like when you talk to your auto mechanic and he uses words that he knows really well. And he starts talking about that catalytic converter, and you're standing there nodding when you have no idea what a catalytic converter is. In real estate, if I say I had a closing or we're under contract or I have a buyer or a seller, oftentimes we assume people know what that means. You may not, and that's perfectly okay. So I'm going to take a quick moment and explain. When I say I have buyers, that means Mr. and Mrs. John Doe have come to me and said, we would like to buy a house, and we would like for you to be the agent who helps us buy a house. They're the buyers. If I say I have sellers, it's just the opposite. Mr. and Mrs. John Smith come to me and they say, we would like to sell our house, and we would like for you to be the agent to help us do that. I'm happy to do that also. There's another tricky word that shows up sometimes, listing. We need to list our house. Is listing the same as selling a house? Pretty much. For our purposes here on this conversation, I'll say they're very close. Mr. and Mrs. John Smith want to sell their house. They need to list it on a variety of different sites. They could do a for sale by owner, But if they're going to work with me as a real estate agent, they're wanting to use my marketing skills to list that home, probably in a multiple listing service, which is called MLS. And that's where it's going to send it out to show up on Zillow.com or Realtor.com, those places that you see houses. What other word did I use there? Did I cover all the words I just needed to use? Oh, under contract. You may have seen, hint, hint, a post that came out yesterday on my social media saying that I have 2 houses under contract in one weekend. What does that mean? Mr. and Mrs. John Jones have both, they have gone to find a house. They have chosen the house. They've put an offer on the house to buy the house. And the Joneses and the sellers, whoever they are, have made an agreement and gone under contract. Does that mean that they have taken ownership of the house? No, not yet. So it's in this in-between period. And in that in-between period, the Joneses can do inspections on the home. They can check for termites. They can see if the electrical is up to date. What are the gutters doing? Is the foundation solid? All of those different things. And that's when you're under contract. You are contractually bound to these other people and the terms of the agreement. And then the other word I think I gave you was closing. Closing is when you have finished the contract. You meet with an attorney. Here in North Carolina, we're called an attorney state. So an attorney officiates over the actual transaction. And at the closing, and there's some more nuance to this, but once again, for our purposes here on this conversation, I'll say that the closing and the settlement, all of that is very much similar. Usually later that day, on your closing day, is when you will get your keys. You don't get your keys to that new house. Mr. and Mrs. Jones don't get the keys to their new house until the deed has been recorded at the courthouse under their name. And so closing is also where all the papers are signed. Lots and lots and lots of papers are signed. Okay? Buyer, seller, listing, contract, closing. 5 words. 5 big words there for you today. Okay? So my post that came out yesterday said I had 2 contracts in one weekend. That means I had 2 different buyers I was working with who separately found 2 different homes. They made offers on those homes, and they are now contractually bound to the sellers of those homes. Now, there are all sorts of other things I could go into here. They can back out of that contract if they need to. There may be consequences, but in general, at this point, they have the opportunity to investigate and inspect those homes. And here on my end, I'm working with my assistant, my transaction coordinator, who's wonderful. Her name's Cindy Lou. And she and I are connecting with the attorney's office, with the lender's office, with the home inspector. There'll be an appraisal done, all kinds of things. And that's why you hire me. I'm over here making sure all the boxes are checked, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. And so it's kind of a big deal. I got two homes under contract in one weekend. On a holiday weekend, people going to the beach, and here I was. If you read my post, I was sitting by the side of the highway. I made a hotspot with my phone, had my laptop, typing up the email, had the offer already ready to go, but I sent that over, and by the end of the evening, last night, Sunday evening, we had a signed contract between both parties. It's a good place to be. I am pretty happy with how my first year as a real estate agent has gone. I can't complain too badly. God has provided. The very first 4 clients I had were all sellers, and that is a big blessing. Everybody I speak to says, that doesn't happen. I met a stranger the other day who just happened to be another real estate agent. She went, ugh, lucky. to get sellers right out of the bat, I was really thrilled to have that. And they were excellent clients, great properties. They sold easily. The first one sold in 7 days. So I'm thankful for the folks who have worked with me here in my first year. And I understand there is a little bit of a risk there. You're hoping that Zach Roberts knows what he's doing. And I think I do. I still have a ton to learn. But I've closed enough transactions now that I'm feeling more and more competent and more confident. Well, that's all for tonight. Hope you all are having a great week. Today is Memorial Day. Memorial, you should take a time to remember, to jog your memory of all the many blessings that we take so easily for granted. I, as a Christian, certainly want to give credit to God for providing those blessings. But the means by which he provides those blessings, here on Memorial Day, we think of our servicemen and women down through the ages who were willing and were called upon to give their lives for our country. Never, ever, ever should we take that lightly. I'll say that phrase again, the blessings we so easily take for granted. Have a great evening. Have a great week. God bless.